The world tried to break him. Every setback, every doubt, every closed door was meant to tell him to stop. But somewhere deep inside, a fire burned, refusing to be extinguished. This is the story of a boy who learned that the greatest victories aren't always about winning, but about the refusal to be defeated. Stick around, because his journey will show you the incredible power that lies within you. The spark of resilience. The boy faced a wall. Not a physical one, but a towering obstacle of doubt and fear. Each setback felt like a blow, chipping away at his resolve. He saw others falter, their spirits broken by less. But something deep within him refused to yield. It was a tiny ember, glowing fiercely in the darkness. This was the spark of resilience. He remembered the first time he stumbled, the sharp pain of failure. He had wanted to give up then, to retreat into the safety of the familiar. Yet a quiet voice whispered, "Try again." It was a simple instruction, but it carried immense weight. He picked himself up, dusted off the shame, and took another tentative step. That first small act of defiance against despair was the genesis of his strength. This inner fire wasn't born of arrogance or an absence of fear. It was forged in the crucible of adversity. He knew the sting of defeat intimately. He understood the gnawing ache of disappointment. But with each fall, the ember grew a little brighter, fueled by the very struggles that threatened to extinguish it. He learned to see challenges not as endpoints, but as detours, opportunities to discover hidden paths and inner reserves he never knew he possessed. The boy who never quit understood that resilience isn't about never falling. It's about the unwavering decision to rise, no matter how many times you're knocked down. It's the quiet, persistent belief in the possibility of a brighter tomorrow, even when the present is shrouded in shadows. This inner light, this indomitable spirit, is the truest measure of strength. It teaches us that even the smallest spark can ignite a fire that conquers any darkness. Facing the unseen storm. The wind began to howl, not with the familiar sound of a passing shower, but with a low, mournful cry that seemed to seep into the very bones. He stood at the edge of the field, the sky above a bruised and swirling canvas of grays and purples. No rain fell yet, but the air crackled with an unseen energy, a promise of something fierce and relentless. His small hands clenched into fists, a tremor running through his slight frame. This was the storm they whispered about, the one that had flattened houses and uprooted ancient trees. Fear, cold and sharp, pricked at him. Doubt gnawed at his resolve. Could he, so small, face such a tempest? The wind tugged at his clothes, a playful but menacing force, urging him to turn back, to seek shelter, to surrender to the overwhelming power gathering around him. He saw the worried faces of his family through the window, silhouetted against the flickering lamplight. They were safe inside, but he had promised. He had promised to secure the loose shutters, to bring in the tools that lay scattered in the yard. A single, fat raindrop splattered on his cheek, cold as ice. Then a memory surfaced. His grandfather's words, spoken on a clear summer day, "The strongest storms reveal the deepest roots." He looked at the sturdy oak at the edge of the property, its branches already swaying violently, yet holding firm. Its roots ran deep, unseen, anchoring it against the fiercest gales. He was not an oak, but he had his own roots, his own inner strength. He took a deep breath, the wild air filling his lungs. This was not about brute force, but about enduring, about doing what needed to be done, step by determined step. With newfound resolve, he turned his back to the rising gale and began his task. Each shutter secured, each tool gathered, was a small victory against the encroaching darkness. The wind shrieked, the sky wept, but he kept moving, his small body a testament to a spirit that refused to be broken. He learned then that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the choice to act in spite of it, to stand firm when the world tried to push you down, and to remember that even the smallest hands can secure what matters most when the unseen storm rages. The climb against all odds. The wind whipped around him, a relentless force tearing at his worn clothes and stinging his exposed skin. Each gust felt like a hand shoving him back, threatening to send him tumbling down the treacherous slope. His muscles screamed in protest, a dull, persistent ache that had become his constant companion. Every handhold was a gamble, every foothold a prayer. He'd slipped before, the memory a cold dread settling in his stomach. Yet he pressed on. He had to. Doubt gnawed at him. The summit, a distant, mocking peak shrouded in mist, seemed impossibly far. He remembered the whispers, the pitying glances, the pronouncements that he was foolish, that this was a fool's errand. They said he was too small, too weak, too unlikely. But within him, a fire burned, a refusal to be defined by their limitations. He wasn't just climbing a mountain, he was conquering the doubt that had tried to chain him for so long. He focused on the next move, then the next. He stumbled, his knee scraping against the unforgiving rock. Pain flared, sharp and immediate. For a fleeting moment, the urge to give up, to surrender to the exhaustion and the hurt, was overwhelming. He closed his eyes, picturing the faces of those who believed in him, the quiet encouragement that had fueled his journey. He took a deep, ragged breath, the icy air burning his lungs. Then, with a surge of raw determination, he pushed himself up, his grip tightening on the cold stone. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the ground leveled out. The mist began to thin, revealing a breathtaking panorama. He stood on the summit, not because it was easy, but because he refused to let the odds dictate his destiny. The view was magnificent, a testament to his enduring spirit. He learned that day that the greatest climbs are not always measured by the height of the mountain, but by the strength found within when everything else tells you to stop. Finding strength in scars. The jagged lines etched across his skin told stories. Each one a testament to a fall, a scrape, a moment of pain. They weren't marks of shame, but maps of his journey. He learned early that bruises faded, but the lessons from them lingered. His first bike ride ended in a tumble, a skinned knee weeping blood. He cried, yes, but he also got back on. That was the beginning. Later, a more serious fall from a tree left him with a deep gash on his arm. The doctor's needle pricked, stitching him together. The pain was sharp, a burning fire. For days, the bandage felt heavy, a constant reminder. But as the wound healed, a new strength began to bloom within him. He realized that even broken things could be mended, often stronger than before. These scars weren't endings, they were proof of survival. He carried these marks not with embarrassment, but with a quiet pride. They were a visible reminder of battles fought and won. When others hid their imperfections, he embraced his. He saw them as symbols of resilience, of the ability to endure and to rise again. They taught him empathy too, a deeper understanding for the silent struggles others might be facing. His scars became his quiet teachers, whispering that true strength wasn't the absence of wounds, but the courage to heal and to keep moving forward, carrying the wisdom of every trial. He stumbled, he fell, but he always got back up. Every no, every setback only fueled his fire. He learned that true strength isn't about never failing, but about refusing to stay down. It's about the courage to try again, even when your heart aches and your body screams. What if you could find that same unbreakable spirit within yourself? What if your biggest challenge is just the beginning of your greatest triumph? We'll explore how to tap into that inner resilience in our next video, Unlocking Your Inner Warrior. Don't miss it.